A Maine teacher jailed tonight accused of sexually assaulting a 15-year-old female student. Good evening, I'm Lindsay Mills.
And I'm Lee Goldberg. Derek Boyce was a teacher at Pine Tree Academy, a small Christian school in Freeport. Police in Lisbon arrested him on last Friday.
Chris Costa joins us live from Lisbon. Chris, from what you've told us, this investigation has many different aspects and sounds complex.
Yeah, Lee and Lindsay, that's right. It is a bit complex, in part because it's an ongoing investigation. But let's outline a little bit of what we know right now. Police say that Boyce lived in Woolwich, but the first incident happened here in Lisbon, where police say the victim lives. Police say they initially charged Boyce with 1 count of gross sexual assault. But during the course of the investigation, the district attorney has now added more charges, another count of gross sexual assault and 2 more counts of unlawful sexual contact with a minor. Police say this investigation spans multiple towns in multiple counties, and they're worried it's possible there may be more victims. The charges involve a teacher at Pine Tree Academy, Derek Boyce, and one of his 15-year-old female students.
It was more than one incident. It appears to be an ongoing situation.
Lisbon police say they wanted to be careful about these sensitive accusations before making them public.
You know, we're trying to avoid potential re-victimization. There was a lot of talk behind the scenes on whether we should do a press release on this at all. But what it eventually came down to is the potential that there are other victims out there.
Pine Tree Academy spokesperson Scott Christensen said Boyce was instructed not to visit the campus or have any student contact pending the investigation. School administrators remain very concerned about the immediate and long-term impact of the alleged incident on all involved, he wrote in a statement. Our earnest prayers continue for each person affected by this unfortunate situation. He said Boyce underwent a thorough background check before he was hired. Boyce is behind bars and is not to have any contact with the victim, her family, or anyone under 18.
You know, we have the suspect who lives in one community, schools in a separate community, and then our initial victim who is in this community. So the concern was enough that we wanted to make sure people were aware.
The spokesperson for the school would not confirm any of Boyce's previous employers. The Maine Department of Education did not have that information, and a spokesperson for the department says that because Pine Tree Academy is not considered one of the state's approved or recognized private schools, teachers there are not required to be certified by the DOE. That spokesperson said that Boyce never was certified by the DOE. His first court appearance is scheduled for December 5th. Lee and Lindsay.
All right, Chris Costa live in Lisbon tonight. Thank you very much.
All right, checking in with Keith Carson to see what's going on weather-wise. I dodged some raindrops today.
It was
Got
muggy.
lucky.
It was hot. A little bit
Yeah.
of hot
See?
there.
Lee thinks the way I do that. That's, I mean, we're going to have some severe weather, but that was the story today, right? It was pretty warm. Dew points in the upper 60s and low 70s in a lot of spots. We'll talk about how rare that is in just a few minutes. But first, let's talk about those temperatures and the fact that they're fueling some thunderstorms to our west. There's a front that's moving through Canada right now. To be honest, right now it doesn't look that great, but almost all the computer models are keying in a couple of areas of severe weather as the late afternoon, early evening progresses. And some of those storms will be strong to severe. And one of the spots that we watch, and this just seems to happen every time, is the ones that come out of central New York State into the Rutland area, and then they start spinning somewhere into New Hampshire. So we do have a low-end tornado threat later tonight. And again, I think the biggest threat is over western Maine and into the mountains here. The mountains can have tornadoes. It's a little bit of a myth that it doesn't happen there. So we'll watch those. The timeline is somewhere around 7 or 8 into the mountains and then later as you head towards the coastline. But again, these spinners are most likely, say, 8, 9 o'clock over western Maine into the foothills, and then it collapses a bit towards the coastline. But even the coast will see thunderstorms around 11 or midnight tonight, guys. It is pretty rare to talk about a tornado threat in late September, but that's the kind of summer, fall it's been so far.
All right, Keith, thank you very much, sir. I want to take a look now at President Trump. He's holding a news conference following the United Nations General Assembly in New York City. This
comes one day before Trump's Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh faces questions from the Senate Judiciary Committee after several women accused Kavanaugh of sexual misconduct. You can catch that full news conference that's happening right now, as you see here, at our website and our mobile app. In other news now, lawmakers will still have to weed through new rules for selling recreational pot in Maine during the next legislative session, but that's not stopping the industry from creating new products.
In fact, there's one product that's gaining popularity, and it's cannabis-based products for your pets. Sam York, this is true?
Yeah, so I was a little shocked to hear about that. But yeah, experts say it's true. And this is where we want to hear from you at home. Would you give your pet a cannabis-based product? We want to cast your vote by heading to the Pulse section of our mobile app or go to pulse.newscentermaine.com. And it's important to note here, we're talking about cannabis-based products, which can have therapeutic benefits, but there's a little more to it than you might realize.
Cannabis. As its legalization grows, so does its popularity and uses. And that means even for your pets. You heard right. Cannabis-based products for pets are on the rise. Just do a quick search on Amazon. You'll find dozens of brands promising a holistic alternative to treat things from your pet's anxiety to arthritis. But does it work? Experts say yes and no.
With any drug, we're seeing positive responses for that, but we're also seeing a lot of toxins and toxic exposures and complications from that as well.
But what do you at home say? Would you use a cannabis-based alternative? Hope says, I've been using CBD products for my dog's anxiety for some time. They work so much better than some of the prescription meds with side effects. Patty says, no, no, and no. Susan says, I think cannabis is poisonous for dogs. I could be wrong, but I follow a lot of dog stories where I've seen it. Doctor and veterinarian Bennett Wilson says, Susan's partially right.
Short answer is yes. It's still a poison. It's still a toxin. But many poisons, many toxins have multiple effects and side effects. They can cause decrease in pain. They can cause decrease in nausea, decrease in anxiety. So it does work. It works in a number of ways, but how that works is very dependent on the patient, the individual, as well as the dose that they've been given or even exposed to.
So Dr. Wilson says if you're thinking about using a cannabis-based pet product, the best thing to do is talk to your vet. He says the most significant problem is accidental exposures or doses, which can be avoided by talking to an expert. So looking at the poll right now, it's kind of split in half here. 54% you bet, 42 not a chance. I'm not sure.
So
yeah. So
keep on voting. We want to hear from you guys. We're obviously checking out your Facebook comments as well. Interesting.
Yes.
All right,
very
Sam.
Interesting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Dempsey Challenge coming up this weekend. A lot of people excited about that. And there's going to be a new fun way for you to take part, even if you're not competing in any of the events. We have a fun Dempsey Challenge Snapchat filter. Look at those crazy kids. You can use it on Saturday and Sunday.
I love it. Make sure your Snapchat app, though, is updated to the latest version, and then you should see it at the event. I love that. We're so up with the times. Look at us go.
We really are. Let's take another look at our Pulse poll. Would you give cannabis-based products to your pet? 47% say yes, absolutely. 45 no, so we're still pretty much at 50-50. Yeah. We still have about 20-something minutes to go for you guys to vote, so we will make sure we hear from you. All right, coming up, we're going to hear from a local video game expert on how you can avoid some of the dangers of playing online.
And a Maine woman's warning for others who use ride-sharing apps. This after she had to report a driver after a ride home took a turn for the worse. That's kind of like when you bring your child to the toy store and they get to pick what they buy, right?
Never ends well.
We're good.
Can y'all hear us now? Okay.
I'm stressed for Liam. Liam has so much going on, you guys.
I know, you should see Liam right
It's
now.
like he's writing web stories. He's
What's
doing
up,
live
Dustin?
feeds. He's helping us talk to you right now on Facebook.
Can you guys hear now? Can you hear? Can you hear? Can you hear? Can you
Yeah,
hear?
he said he just fixed it, so we're
It's
good.
National Pancake Day and National Love Note Day.
Oh, love note.
So Joe Dunbar is going to say I love you by writing it on a pancake.
Oh, that's cute.
Because then you can combine the two.
And food is the way to my heart.
See, I didn't say he was writing it to you. I said he was going to read me. That's a little presumptuous, don't you think? My gosh.
Oh, really? So,
sorry, J-Bar. She's a little, you know. JR says just stock up on doggy treats.
Yeah, true. They could get hungry.
Taylor says
you know, I guess that could be like helpful for a dog that doesn't, like our dog Tito is not food motivated at all. Like he just kind of wants to graze all day. The vet says that's totally normal. Usually small dogs are like that, but we can't let him graze because Lucy will gobble up all of his food if we leave it out. So we need him to eat when Lucy eats, and he's getting better about it, but we were worried for a while that he wasn't getting enough nutrition, and he's fine now. But maybe the cannabis would help him be hungry.
Or kill him.
Right, because he's only 4 pounds.
Could go either way.
Yeah.
Consult with your veterinarian to see what's best for your dog.
Exactly. Well, we did.
That's
we talked,
my advice.
and we're good.
Good.
hey, Isaac, am I tossing back to Lee and Lindsay?
Hey, Bill.
It looks like you are.
Toss you back to Lee and Lindsay? Okay.
Stand by.
Don't forget my question, or else I'll come over there and ask it myself.
I can't hear you. Oh, the parrot part?
Yesterday, we talked about 24 people who were accused of luring children on popular online apps.
So it is the Sam York Show today. She's back. We're going to talk with a local video game expert about how we can avoid these types of situations. Sam, again, what's up?
All right, well, I'm here with Mick Pratt. He works at Bull Moose. Yep. And basically, this isn't the first time that something like this has happened, but is Fortnite really any different?
Well, so unfortunately, it's not the first time it's happened. You know, as long as there's been online communication or like communication in general, there have been people looking to take advantage. And what's interesting about the Fortnite aspect is like, Fortnite is the headline grabber, right? Like, oh, Fortnite is the problem. There's voice chat and there's people who can get in there. But, you know, if you're out there thinking, okay, well, Fortnite is dangerous and I'm not going to let my kids play Fortnite anymore, I think you're sort of missing part of the rest of the ecosystem or the structure of communication. And I think what happened in this scenario is that the people that were looking to take advantage started out using like Twitch or Discord or Snapchat or any number of these communication apps which serve as communities for kids, and then they used Fortnite to build rapport. So, but it's a very complicated thing. But there's a lot of things that you can do sort of as a parent to keep your kids safe, and honestly, it's just like being engaged and interested and paying attention to the kind of content creators that your kids are watching on Twitch or YouTube, or you know, what games they're playing or how they're interacting with other fans.
Right. And that's kind of something we were talking about earlier. Is, you know, is it something that the games and the manufacturers, is it something they kind of have to reel in and tackle, or is it really more about the parents kind of being involved?
I mean, certainly it takes two to tango, right? And it's not that platforms like Fortnite are completely without sort of like responsibility in this. But at the same time, the best way to head it off is to just sort of like have honest communication, with your kids, set realistic ground rules and boundaries. Be like, look, you know, don't give out your personal information. Don't share your photograph with anybody. You know, if somebody starts asking you questions like, hey, are your parents home? Or like, do you want to hang out? Be like, you know, take a step back from that. And also, as a parent, make sure that you are approachable about things like that when somebody does get weird about something that's happening on Fortnite. But also understand that kids are kids, and sometimes they're going to try to hide stuff because they're teenagers, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right. And we were saying too that really anything that has a chat forum.
Anything that has a chat forum, right? And it's not to say that it's all bad, right? I mean, like what's really cool about Fortnite and about like Twitch and Discord is it is a community for kids to get together and for gamers to talk with one another, and honestly, like for kids that have a difficult time connecting with their peers at school, or they don't have the same interests or all that sort of stuff, it's really important to have an online place to communicate and hang out and build skills and confidence. Like for instance, if you get really good at Fortnite, suddenly without even knowing it, you're like, I know how to communicate, I know how to strategize, I know how to budget my time. You know, I got to make sure that I don't get crushed by the shrinking map or whatever. And I don't know, but that could be a bit of a stretch. But But it's you know, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, and you don't want to think Fortnite's the problem, we got to get rid of Fortnite, without also thinking about sort of what Twitch channels are your kids watching? Do you even know what Twitch is? What Discord communities are they a part of? What are they talking about there? What is Discord?
Right, right. Well, thank you so much for
Yeah,
this
of
info.
course.
Great information. Thanks for coming in. Lee and Lindsay, back to you guys.
All right, thank you very much. Can't see what Sam has next for us. Okay, should we be back later with the weather? Sam doing the weather too? All right, we're gonna take a quick look at your pulse poll. Would you give cannabis-based products to your pet? We're still pretty much 50-50-ish. 51 of you said yes, you would. 42 say no. 70% don't have enough information to make a decision. Keep on voting for the rest of our half hour.
Thanks, guys. Okay, we have an Ask Now question coming up. We're going to try our best to answer. It has something to do with a popular ride-sharing app.
And speaking of popular, Keith coming back with the weather.
All right, we're going to the monitor.
To the moons.
Oh, that was good. Let me help with that table. Oops. I broke it.
You broke it.
Jeff, I'm sorry.
Oh, one of these. This is thick.
Does it always, can I help you?
No, I got it.
Are you sure?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, we're going over here, kids.
Oops.
Oh my God, two of them.
I know, I really broke it. I don't know how that happened.
I don't know where this thing come from. There. Oh, this came from the camera. Oh no. Oh Jesus.
Oh, you broke the camera?
It came from the camera.
Oh, that's not good.
Oh, Kathy, did you pin this comment from
I
Kathy?
did.
Yeah,
Camera 8 came
that's
on.
good.
I did.
Mary Lee says only catnip for her cats. And Taylor loves these live streams. Thank you so much for watching. That's awesome.
TLM. It's TLM. We're close now. TLM.
What's TLM?
Taylor Lynn McFarland.
Oh.
TLM.
Wait, Deb has some advice for me. She says she puts a pet in the bathroom with the door closed so she can eat.
We did that when we had a kitten.
Yeah?
So that the kitten would get to eat. Now he's, because you want the other cats to steal it. So there's so many of them. But now he's like the bully, so it's fine. But when he was little.
Is this the beautiful, handsome one that's like got the long hair?
Dash. This is one who literally dashed in front of our car. And we got him at, like, I think he was 1.5 pounds. I mean,
tiny.
He had been, we think, just dumped on the side of the road because he was in the middle of nowhere.
How many animals do you have right now?
Right now?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't checked my phone, so I'm assuming they're all still alive. So if that's true, then right now we have 10.
10 animals and 7 children.
If you count the fish, 10, yeah. Fish is an animal.
How many 4-legged animals that don't live in water?
9.
Okay.
9.
That's crazy.
9. Ask Now, reporting an Uber driver. We hope that we never have to, but one Maine woman who wants to remain anonymous did have to do this recently.
She reached out to us on Facebook wanting to know what Uber's policy is when it comes to reporting drivers and what information the company shares with drivers who have been reported. All this because of something that happened after she filed the report.
It's just a mystery.
A Portland area resident says she's done with Uber and has a warning for other young women who use the ride-sharing app. Earlier this month, she shared an Uber with a group of friends to get home from a work party. She was sitting in the passenger seat.
I've never sat in the front before. That's something I've just always felt that sitting in the back was probably the safer option.
Her friends taking up the seats in the back were dropped off first. That's when she says the trip took a turn for the worse.
The Uber driver kept touching my leg. When we got to the house to drop me off, he kept telling me that I dropped something to bend over.
She reported the incident the next morning. 2 weeks later, she got a call from an Uber representative apologizing, telling her they had suspended the driver. But there was more trouble. A woman claiming to be the driver's girlfriend showed up at her apartment twice.
Who are you looking for? And she said, that's the problem, they won't give us the name. I reported it to the police twice and to Uber twice.
She says she still hasn't heard back from Uber about that and wants to know what information is the company sharing when riders report drivers. It made sense they knew her address, but how did they know she was the one to report him?
I'm concerned ever since, just been looking over my shoulder every time I go outside of my house.
In an email response to News Center Maine, an Uber spokesperson who calls the incident troubling says the driver's access to the app has been removed and they will work with police on their investigation. When an incident is reported, they said, quote, no personal information is shared during those calls due to our privacy policy.
I thought I was doing the right thing by reporting it. It happened, whatever, I'm okay. I worry about somebody else.
Now, that same Uber spokesperson says that the company is rolling out new safety features in the coming months that will include what they call address anonymization, which they say will conceal specific pickup and drop-off addresses in the driver's trip history.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's important to be careful, and it's important for these companies to know who's toting the people around and to have some, safety precautions in place for everybody, for the drivers and for the passengers.
Sure.
So
You never be too careful. So warning out there.
All right. In the meantime, summary today. What do you think?
Summary, but I mean, we're talking about maybe some severe weather later on.
Yeah, and like overnight severe weather, which is extremely rare for fall. But yeah, it happens every once in a while, and dew points are really high in that uncomfortable to oppressive range right now, upper 60s to low 70s towards Sanford. So, this is where we've been living right through the summer, and now as we roll into the beginning part of fall. Temperatures have shot up at the end here. 82 in Portsmouth, 79 in Sanford, 72 in Augusta, and 69 in Bangor. So it's warm and humid, and that's helping fuel some showers and thunderstorms, although largely they're driven by this cold front that is now about to cross over into Maine. At the moment, there's nothing severe going on, but almost all the models are pretty hot on this severe weather potential tonight, and I think that the northern ones are just going to be more garden variety. It's the ones coming out of New Hampshire that we'll probably have to watch later tonight. That could be as late as 10 or 11 along the coastline. Storm Prediction Center has placed us in a what they call slight risk, but it is their second out of 5 zones here across much of the state, the exception being the mid-coast and down East Maine, and maybe more interestingly, giving us a 5% chance of a tornado. Now, if you throw 5% chance of anything out there, it doesn't sound like a very high chance. I will tell you that the times that we've had tornadoes, 5 is the highest percentage I've ever seen for northern New England. So that means they feel there's a decent chance of an isolated tornado spinning up. And then the lesser chances you get towards the coastline here because you're going to have a little bit more stable marine air in there. But again, watch them over western Maine later tonight, or we'll watch them for you instead, Jess and I. All right, showers and thunderstorms come through. Here we are. The timing is late-ish. So the mountains 7 o'clock. I mean, they're getting into the interior 9, 10 o'clock, and that's when you can see, even on this signature, that this is a little hooky, spinny looking. So it's telling you there's some shear here. So that will continue through around midnight. That's when it moves over the mid-coast and down east, and then we clear out by tomorrow morning. And tomorrow is actually a nice day. Upper 60s and a good deal of sunshine, and then Friday is partly cloudy, but obviously we'll be focused on what happens in the near term and keep an eye on the tornadic possibilities. Now, with that front and with that severe weather, we'll sweep out that humid air. So by tomorrow morning, crisp in the 40s for dew points and even 30s in the mountains. I have never seen, guys, a European model flip-flop this hard. So at one point it was giving us really cool weather Tuesday, Wednesday next week. Now it is literally the opposite. It is trying to bring us back into the 80s with high humidity, so we shall see. I will say if you plan it based on the pattern that we've been in all summer, you would take the odds for warmer rather than below average, but we'll keep an eye on that. So I kind of split the middle on Wednesday, give us 73, but again, some models giving us 80 or so. The weekend, bearing the lead here, looking pretty good, both Saturday and Sunday. Maybe a mountain sprinkle on Saturday, most of it dry though, and then we'll watch what happens mid next week. Raindrops tonight is going to put into context how unusual it is for it to be this humid this time of the year.
Okay.
All right, we're looking forward to that.
It's called a tease.
All right, I got you. Cool. Before we get to that, News Center at 5:30 coming up next, and the newest member of the Maine Associated Broadcasters Hall of Fame, Mr. Pat Callahan, will join us for News Center Maine at 5:30. What's up, Hall of Famer?
Lee, Lindsay, thank you so much. New allegations of sexual misconduct surface as lawmakers prepare to question Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh again tomorrow. We will get the latest from Washington. Portland is trying out a new approach to keep bicyclists safe. Clay Gordon checks out the protected bike lanes that could be used in more areas of the city. And it's a long-standing tradition in Aroostook County to let kids out of school for a few weeks to help with the potato harvest. But things are changing, and that could be a challenge for farmers. Hannah Deneen looks at the impact of potentially losing those workers. All that and more coming up on News Center at 5:30.
All right, Pat, thanks so much. Real quick, before we go to break, let's take a look at our Pulse poll happening right now at pulse.newscentermaine.com, asking if you would give your pets cannabis-based products. 54% of you saying you bet.
And a lot of you commenting on this as well. Kathy says, yeah, I would give my pet cannabis-based products with my vet's knowledge. More and more veterinarians are agreeing with medical doctors that there are benefits to cannabis-based medicines. Thanks for all your comments. Keep on voting, and we're back with more right after this.
Sweet. Boop. All right. So yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. For the record, guys, this is the table I broke.
This is
not
Lindsay
the
broke,
camera.
Not that.
Right, Jeff?
Just so we're clear on what she actually broke.
Hey, Charles.
All the ads.
Yeah?
Gotta pay your bills.
Yeah, right?
So what is the short answer for brain drops
You can't
today?
give it away.
But Facebook, are you with me? Do you want to know?
Facebook audience get a couple benefits here by getting the answer?
I like to surprise you guys.
Guys, when I read books, I read the last page first because I just want to know how it ends. I just want to know.
Pulse results first, then we go to Keith.
Okay.
That's messed up.
I know. Yeah. It's like I watch American Horror Story. Who watches American Horror Story?
I've seen it before, yeah.
So good. This season's actually really, really good. Last season, not so much. But I just already want to see the last episode. I just want to know how it ends. I'll still watch it. I just want to know how it ends.
Did Clay propose on the first date? Is that how that worked? Or? No?
Didn't know how that was going to end, did you?
Yeah.
Or maybe you did.
It works out, yeah. Works out.
Maybe you did.
Maybe.
You guys watch Making of a Murderer? Did you watch the first one?
It's Making a Murderer.
Did you watch it?
Yes.
Okay, well, there's another one. They're doing season 2.
Oh, good.
It's coming out the 19th of October.
Didn't they let one of them out of jail? The kid,
They
right?
were going to,
yeah,
but they
then
didn't.
Well, he was granted release, and then it got revoked.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's
brutal.
like, yeah, it's
so brutal.
With Brandon, the nephew.
Yeah, Brandon.
Yeah. Anyway, season 2 coming up in a couple weeks.
That was a good show.
Whenever they answer the phone, they say, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's how they hang up. They say,
I was convinced 100 times each that he was guilty and not guilty.
Yeah. I think
and I felt strongly each
I think he did it, but I think they planted evidence.
Yeah.
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 Don't be crazy, bub.
Alrighty, one final look at our Pulse poll. Would you use cannabis to help treat your pet? About 53% of you voting yes, you would do so. A bunch of you saying no, some of you still not sure. Either way, whatever you decide, check with your vet. Make sure it's safe before you give anything to your pet, whether it's cannabis or anything else.
Sure.
Always a good idea.
All right, time for brain drops, and I'm eager to know the answer.
Yeah,
okay,
right.
I promised to put this in context how humid it was today. Well, now this is a graphic you've seen a lot. We added another day. I just want to start with that. So it's unbelievable that we're still adding these 70+ dew point days. But the question that Lindsay wants to know, don't fail us now. All right, latest humidity, we're tied for third with today, but you can see they're clustered 28th, 29th with the dew point over 70. All of this to say that it is extremely unusual. Also, I think next week we have a chance to get to that dew point of 70. So if we do that, then we'll be in the top. But this has been a year, of course, in which we have broken all kinds of humidity records. It would only make sense if we could break this one. But I actually thought there might be a few in October. There were none.
Well, we also have 2 in the top 3 that have happened in the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Correct, and you know, this is a thing that does vary. And if you go back to 1959, it wasn't a very humid summer. It was an anomaly. In fact, I meant to check on this. I bet the 2 of the top 3 or 4 of the top 5 are tropical system remnants.
Oh.
So like say you get what was Florence spin up here in late September, it's going to have high dew points. This was purely pattern driven. We can't differentiate, to be fair, but I bet you that most of those are tropical somethings that drove that up.
Humidity was a big difference waking up this morning. It was like we flipped a light switch.
It was.
My hair curled.
It did.
No.
Are you growing hair back?
It didn't. No.
Asking for a
It's
friend.
looking thicker.
News at 8 at 5:30 starts right now.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Really?
Really?